did the Almighty send me to watch your back?
What is going on, warriors? I had already actually made a video, kind of screwed the pooch on it because somehow I saved it out of the app I edited it on and it just disappeared. Tried to load it to BitChute, so I'm blaming it on BitChute. Thanks BitChute, you kind of screwed me because I edited it for like 3 hours and it was unbelievably frustrating. Anyway, this is my new attempt at a video. What we're going to be talking about, that I was aiming to talk about in the last video, was this new ramp up in the discussion of this disease X that is going around. Seems like a lot of fear propaganda being pushed. Not only is it being pushed in the mainstream media, it seems to be being pushed pretty hard in the alt media and the truther media. Alt media and truther media are really just propaganda pieces that, like, a lot of the times, like, I know some people, they mean well when they post stuff about things like this or like current events or news, but that's why I kind of try to stray away from that now, because honestly more important to focus on what it is that we should be doing to resolve this issue of being held down by this tyrannical system, by this overhauled system that literally feeds us bullcrap in order to scare us and put us in a position of constant anxiety where we don't feel like we have any power to do anything, although that couldn't be further from the truth. There are tons of things that we could do. So what I'm getting at here is that this disease X, it's just another fear tactic, and it's being pushed on a lot of different platforms, a lot of different videos. I see a lot of different content being made about this, and I just have to say, at this point, the last 3 years as an example, some people might not make it through something terrible that happens. There's a depopulation agenda going on behind the scenes. We know this already. Like, we are aware that this is happening. We're aware that the depopulation agenda didn't just stop and they gave up because people pushed back against CV-19 or didn't want to put up with it anymore, where masks, acceptance rate of the vaccine going way down. Point is, they didn't just give up. They being the adversary, the enemy, Satan's minions, whatever you want to use for your identifier of these people. The people that work in the World Economic Forum or high societies, where decisions are made that aren't voted on, they're not vetted by other people, they're not reviewed by normal people, they're not reviewed by your everyday average Joe. They are just decided on by a small oligarch of a few. Few to me could be like, 100, maybe more, I don't know. But it's a significantly small percentage of the overall population of the earth. There is no vote, there's no decision made by any of us.
With all these useless people.
The plan isn't just given up on. The 2030 agenda, sustainable development goals, they're not going away, and they're not going to be just done away with. So a lot of people, may not make it through what is to come, because there's a plan and agenda to come, whether it be legitimately some kind of something that makes you sick, because if you look into virology, that stuff is also already sketchy. They never isolated the COVID-19 virus or proved that they isolated it, or could prove that they isolated it in order to show us that it even existed. So therefore, in my mind, it never existed. And it's funny because the people that push against these shots or push against the whole COVID narrative, they seem to be like all on board with the gain of function bullcrap and all that. All that is just a hearsay. It's just distraction. Like, clearly there's no gain of function research on a virus, because viruses aren't what we're being told viruses are. Even if a thing of a virus actually exists, sicknesses, sure, they happen, but I don't believe they're caused by passing things like that on from one thing to another. So this disease X situation is really ramping up here, and I feel like what really is the issue in today's truther movement is that when we're seeking truth, like, the truth that we're seeking should not be of this world. It should not be politics. It should not be news related. You could use news stories to segue your way into talking about some things, which is good, you know, which is probably what some people were using this disease X thing for, and that's what I'm using it for in this example. But we, as truth seekers, need to look at the truth of what existence really is, what spirituality really is, and what the pursuit of spirituality looks like. A lot of times I feel as if the aspect of spiritual building and spiritual discovery and the path of being a human is pretty much just pushed to the side, put on the back burner, and if not altogether, just washed out of our daily lives. Things like this disease X or COVID or whatever, Israel Hamas war, all this is to purely take away from the fact that we should be taking our times to get our spiritual self right with God, and to make every use of being here count. Obviously, I know that it's hard to do in times where they seem so trying, and like the only thing that matters right now is money or getting food on the table, or, you know, feeding your child or feeding your spouse, feeding your animals that you may have, making house payments, keeping shelter, getting gas to get to work, to get money. Like, it obviously is not an easy situation. But hear me out. All that should be way lower than the spiritual work you put in on your day-to-day life. Being spiritually built for what is to come is the biggest fear of these people, the adversaries, the cabal, the evil ones at the top. Being spiritually prepared for what is to come scares them the most, because they can no longer control your mind in this 3D physical dimension that we live in. Is so important to them because their spiritual energy is not anywhere near as strong as a positive human or a God connected human's energy is in this realm or in the spiritual world. So, but they make you believe that your spiritual energy is not powerful enough, is not more powerful than theirs, and that you're easily crushed and manipulated by the system and everything else, when truth be told, we don't need this fake fiat currency. We haven't needed it ever. This monetary value should not be determined how somebody else is valued. Like, you work so hard to get all these things, obtain all these things for your family or your future, all these other things, and it's just like it is. It's just a monetary value. It's not any kind of spiritual value. It's not any kind of real human value and sustenance. And so when people look at themselves now, they look at themselves as, what are they worth by the money that they have, by not by the fruits that they produce in their attitude or in their compassion or caring of others or in their works for others to help others. It's purely only done by showing status, by showing how much money you make, how much you're able to spend and not worry about it, how much you can provide for your family financially, not emotionally. And, you know, I'm a victim of that as well. It's always about what can I provide financially. And I don't feel like I can provide much spiritually. I don't feel like I can provide much emotionally because I'm so checked out from trying to work so hard to make this money that means nothing, not a single thing. And if our minds are so wrapped up in something like that, making money and doing all these things on the day to day that take us so far away from what the purpose of being here is. Now, we may not know the purpose of why we were brought here or why we decided to come here. However, it works out when your spirit arrives here in this 3D world with this consciousness. There's no way of saying how it went down, but you are here now and you have a purpose, and that's what other people's minds get mixed up along with mine. You know, it's easy with the standard that they pulled on us to be a social norm that your purpose is laid out in what you do to make money. Your purpose is what is supposed to be connected to a monetary value, but it's not. Your purpose is not here to make a bag or to run up a check or do whatever, any of that stuff. That is not your purpose in life. Like, I don't care what you say. I don't care how hard you think you are in the streets, rapping, talking about all this crazy stuff, or going hard in business and all this other, like, no, that is not your purpose. Isn't to make money. It's not. Like, I don't care what anybody has to say about that, because it's not true. And that's the convoluted thinking that got us into the situation we're in today. No compassion, no caring for others. Everybody's out for themselves. Everyone looks out for themselves. And it's insane. It's totally deprived of any real human connection. That's why people feel so alone, and that's how we are so divided. We're divided. Money plays a huge factor, whether or not we realize it, in us being divided. And money should mean nothing. This is all about spirituality, being spiritually prepared for what is to come. Your purpose is not based off of the money you make. Your purpose is to live out the spiritual experience that God sent you here to live, and to fulfill that purpose, whether that be your purpose of helping others, your purpose of helping the people who are less fortunate, and people that are not able to do things the way you do them. Like, you provide a service, but you provide a service from the heart, from your spirit, not with the intentions of receiving something back, giving selflessly, kind of like what Jesus said. What Jesus does, you give. Even if you don't have anything to give, you give whatever you possibly can, getting rid of the true ego. And that's all money is. Money is just tied in. Ego and money pretty much go hand in hand. There's other things that go along with ego, but money is one of the biggest ones you could ever think of. And spirituality seems to be the only thing that's going to get us out of this mess. Not talking about disease X coming out and killing a bunch of people, or what the evil people are up to, or how they're going to eliminate 90% of the population, or destroy the world, or nuke the world, or any of this crazy stuff, right? That does not matter. You have to be spiritually in order. You cannot fear what is coming. If you are spiritually in order, you're not going to fear what is coming. You are going to live your life not chained and bound to a system that wants nothing more than to enslave you. Like, we are all enslaved. And I know people will say, like, oh, actual slavery, all this freedom in America. We are all bound to this system. Try and live without this system in today's world. Just try. I mean, you can do it, but will you do it happily? Will you do it comfortably? No. I mean, you're having this, if you're doing something like that, you got to be on a extreme spiritual path for enlightenment. You got to be taking that next step and see how challenging it really is to live in this world without working a job where you make money, just living a life of service for others and providing. God does bless those that do things like that. There are many people that don't actually work for money that get blessed by God to have everything they need, have their needs met, and live comfortably. But it's not typical, and there's so many of us now, and all we care about is money, that I don't think we could even make it. We couldn't hack it. Like, it'd be so hard. And it's just something to consider, because we can't live like this anymore and succeed in overcoming all this. You know, Trump, or Alex Jones, or any of these other guys, they're not fighting for us, and they're not gonna save us. They don't care about us. I don't know how many more times I can say any of this stuff. These guys in particular, Trump, Alex Jones, Joe Rogan, Russell Brand, all these other guys that are these like heads of truthers now, like Russell Brand. Like, seriously, this dude was in for Forgetting Sarah Marshall, or whatever, Forgiving Sarah Marshall, whatever the movie is. Like, this dude's a dweeb, okay? And these people are all Satan, like, they're workers of Satan. Like, they push like all this fear propaganda in order to really ramp up a reaction and a response, and it's just not necessary. Like, this should not affect any of our spirits. Our spirits should be to give to one another, to be there for your neighbor, to take care of each other, so that all this is not put into this is not our fault. We didn't do this. Most of us don't cause these problems. Okay? This isn't our fault. You need to hear that. This is not your spirit's fault. What is our fault is the responsibilities that we neglect to do in order to supersede the prison that they've put us in for our minds. If we can get past those bars, if we can get past that situation, then there is no stopping us. There is no holding us back. There is no killing off a bunch of people or scaring us into believing that we are worthless and that our purpose is for money and not for a spiritual growth. It's time to let it go. It's time to build a community around this stuff. Build a community around really putting in the work, not a religion, but also not like a new age spirituality, just a spirituality of true, genuine human spirit that wants to care for one another and wants to, see what happens. Like, our spirits, I believe, are tied through time and space and different dimensions, and we spread so far, and that we travel, we are not just bound to this place. I do believe that. And I do believe in God. I do believe in Jesus. I would say that I'm a Christian, but I'm not your run-of-the-mill Bible Christian where I believe if you sin, you burn in hell forever. Of course, I believe you have to repay your sins. You have to pay the trials. You have to reap what you sow. I do believe that. But I don't believe in eternal damnation of your soul for, maybe 80 years worth of messing up. For a lot of other people, less time. Either way, people can hate me for that. People could say I'm not a real Christian. It doesn't really bother me. I don't care. I'm on my spiritual journey to learn. All I know is there is a creator. I know that there is God. I know that God does have good, and this fight is between good and evil. And that good and evil are the two sides it's always ever been. Okay? And the evil is trying to take dominion over God's space, God's greatest creation, humanity. And we are the guardians of this place. If we don't take care of it, these evildoers, if they are even human, which I believe not, I believe they could be the synagogue of Satan, the serpent seed that is trying to take over this place. If we do not band together and fight for this, we will lose this. And who's to say what happens with our spirits if we are to lose it? If God were to, give up on us. I mean, nobody can overtake God. These fools that are evil, the adversaries, they can't take over God. And I think that they very well know that, but they could at least break his creation and make him hurt in other ways. So don't let these demons win. Don't let these crazy evil systems and rules that are put in place to captivate us and captivate our minds bring us down anymore. It's time to rise up against it and become spiritual partners, spiritual brothers and sisters, which we already are, but to act like it, to live like it, to watch one another's backs, and not be picking sides, not worried about any of this nonsense. The whole Republican Democrat thing is just absolutely heinous. It's so ridiculous how much people put their eggs into that basket. It's like, dude, just like, it's cringy to be either or. Let's be honest. It actually might be more cringy to be a Republican at this point, or a far right Republican, than it is to be a far left liberal, because we know far left liberals are just like, they might even just be doing it because they worship Satan, or because they're paid to do so. These far right wing guys, if they aren't paid, they're just, gosh, man, it's cringy. So really, we need to get it together. Please band together in spirit, band together in hearts. Let's put our works together and change this place, man. Let's change this place. I have nobody else that I'm able to talk to about this. So doing these videos do help in that way. And I'm not spiritually above anybody. I don't think I'm spiritually advanced or spiritually ahead of anyone. What I'm doing is trying to put the pieces together and talk about what the real truth that needs to be talked about. Not some disease X bullcrap, not some pandemic bullcrap, not some the vaccines that we know are not gonna cure anything bullcrap. We're talking about the same things we know to be true. So why are we harping on it? Just change the just get together. Like, change it. It's time to change it. Okay? Like, that's all the more I can say about it. I know I make some videos about exposing and stuff like this, and I am really wasting my time doing that. That's just to show people who may be new or who may not realize that their soul is being sucked in by this witchcraft, this black magician Alex Jones or Trump or whoever. These guys that are meant to lead you astray, meant to deceive you, meant to, flash the shiny so that you don't pay attention to what you really should be doing, which is soul searching, soul growing. That's what this place is, probably a soul farm to these evil guys, because our souls are so strong. They need to harness that power. They can't harness that power without locking us in, and they got us locked in. They got us freaking cornered. Watch this happen more and more every day, and I'm just like, I live my life, and I don't know who to talk to. I don't know who to discuss these ideas with, because I don't know who may be the enemy, who may not be the enemy. That's how screwed they got you. That's why it's so important to trust yourself, to believe what you like. Come to your own conclusion. When you come to your own conclusion, your own spiritual truth, that will set you free. That is what will set you free from whatever is going on in this world. So find your spiritual truth, live in it, and find a way to make it give you a purpose. With that, I'm going to head out. That's all I got for today. As always, I love you all, and go in peace. This is Jay out.